Welcome to You Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. But today we're taking a look at the things I've been working on in December, so grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers and to any new viewers, a very warm welcome to you. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we're taking a look at the things that I've been working on during December today. Now, it's not quite the end of December, it's the 27th, so that's the third day of Christmas. 12 days of Christmas start December the 25th and finish on January the 5th, which is why I don't take my decorations down until 12th night. So yeah, we leave them up. Traditionally, you'd be making merry through all of that period. We don't do that anymore. But yeah, that's what the 12 days of Christmas technically is, which is why I get a little bit baffled and a little bit confused by the concept of a 12-day Advent. Advent is 24 days long. The 12 days of Christmas are Christmas Day onwards. So having a 12-day of sort of Christmas Advent is just doesn't compute with my traditions. But you know, it's an affordable way to get a hand-dyed or handmade thing to open in the run-up to Christmas. So I do sort of understand why it's appealing. It's just not technically an Advent if it's only 12. So yeah, I mean, if I had one, if it wasn't for social media, I'd be tempted to start opening it Christmas Day and open one a day until 12th night, because that's the 12 days of Christmas. But that's just me. I don't have one, so it doesn't matter. So let's dive straight into the crafty goodness with what I am wearing. This is a Skein pattern. It's the Scumring cardigan or Nightfall. So there are colourwork pine trees at the bottom, and I've worked this in Cascade Heritage, which is merino nylon. This was last year's Christmas sweater. For some reason I haven't been updating Ravelry for over a year. A year, 18 months, maybe 2 years. There's a big gap in my projects on Ravelry. I just got out of the habit. So yes, I think this was last Christmas's Christmas sweater. It has been getting a lot of wear this season. I tend to run hot, so cardigans are nice and practical for me. And the buttons on here are Dorset buttons that I made myself to match the colour of the yarn. They're made with cotton perle and a metal ring. So they're simple buttons to make. They do take a little bit of time. I've got it down to a bit under an hour now for one. I think it's about 45-50 minutes, but I've not made any in a while, so I'll probably have slowed down again. So that's what I am wearing, and let's move swiftly on to finished objects. And I do have a couple. So first up, my stepmother, you may remember, bought me the Mystery December Gnome from Imagined Landscapes pattern and a yarn kit to go with it. My yarn kit came with little glasses for the gnome. So I managed to keep up with the knit along. It's not a tricky one to keep up with, actually. It's nicely planned for during December. The first update drops on the 1st of December. The last update drops on the 21st of December, so the longest night. And it comes with stories and bits and bobs. So we had a baking recipe in there this year, and there was a colouring sheet in there this year. So not every day is a knitting day, which helps to be able to keep up with the clues when they do come out during sort of such a busy period, because there's less knitting to do. And there's more time to do it, but from one clue to the next. So this is my first ever Imagined Landscape gnome. The only purchase I made to go with this is some weighted poly pellets to go in the bottom, which will be useful for future amigurumi and knitting projects. So this is Nana with a G. She's wearing this rather gorgeous travelling cape, and she has colourwork dress on. Underneath her hood here, the cape does come off, by the way. Underneath the hood here is a little folded down hat. I've added the tassel, that was not part of the pattern. I have added little I-cord hairbands. That again was not part of the pattern. And I've used a hook and eye closure for the cape. There were various suggestions of putting little mini buttons on, leaving it open, stitching it permanently shut, that kind of thing. I said I didn't want it permanently shut, but I wanted some sort of cloak clasp situation on there, so I've used a little hook and eye. So she's got these braids and she's got little arms under here as well, made out of I-cord. The colourwork is slip stitch colourwork. The designer Sarah Scherer, I know it's Sarah, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her surname, Imagined Landscape, was inspired by Norwegian traditional dresses. Star begins with a B, don't know how to pronounce it. So she decided to put some faux embroidery around the base of the cape, down the hood of the cape, and on the dress as well. So we've got this slip stitch colourwork pattern on the dress to create that embroidered feel. I can see me making more of these. The group on Ravelry, the forums, were very active with lots of chat, and there's quite a lot for me to catch up with since this finished, or since the last update came out rather, because you've got until I think around about 12th night or early January till she closes the finished objects. It might be the 1st of January, something like that. To the finished object thread closes. But yeah, she's rather sweet. I can see me making more. I can see me doing the December gnome again. I'm quite tempted to do Advent gnomes because there's a little gnome pattern. I think 24 of those that you put one out each day through Advent could be kind of cute. Whether that will actually happen, I don't know. I'm just going to pop Nana's hood back up to keep her nice and cosy. Yeah, the yarn is from Lavington Lass, and it was a kit put together for the December gnome, so it came with the glasses. But yeah, I can see me doing more. I do have yarn left over from this kit, so she didn't even use a single one of the minis up fully. So yeah, it'd be good, quite a good little scrap project, I think, to make some of these gnomes in various different sizes. One person did their gnome. She did a gnome in worsted weight, so that actually came out bigger, but she also did one in bulky yarn, and she's put it, to weight it down, she put a can inside with a brick in it. That's come out the size of a small child. In fact, she's using a pair of her daughter's old glasses to finish her Nana off. So I mean, that's quite tempting to do a super-sized gnome, but I might do some as written first, as I've only done the one so far. But yeah, so Nana, done, dusted. I probably should pack her away with the Christmas decorations. Kind of quite tempted to leave her out all year round. I might have to do some different seasons of gnomes so that I can have a gnome out all year round. I might go well with my second tree, actually, my white tree, to have a little gnome for the season. So yeah, we'll see. It wasn't a difficult knit, it wasn't a long knit. So yeah, that was good. My second finished object is a new to me craft, and it's some hardanger embroidery. So I bought this kit to try hardanger out. I've not done all three, I've only done one of them so far. I haven't done hardanger before. It's essentially the steeking of embroidery. It involves cutting the fabric and leaving holes. So there are moments of going on, and my first one's not perfect by any means. There was a fair amount of pulling back and restitching, and some of the lines are not. One of them is a bit more scooped than it should be. It should have been a straight diagonal line, but I got the angle wrong, and yeah. So yeah, I have an angel in hardanger embroidery done. So you can see this side of the skirt it's supposed to be straight, and it's supposed to be even on either side of this bit of embroidery. It's a first one. It's not the neatest, it's not the tidiest. The back is not the neatest and tidiest either, but when she's hanging on a tree, who's going to be looking at the back? As long as I put her the pretty side out, which is the side with her face on, she'll be fine. So yeah, I do plan on completing the other two angels at some point this year, so they can accompany her on the tree next year. She'll be going on a tree shortly. I'm not quite sure where because the tree's quite full. But yeah, she'll be going on there somewhere. She matches my colour scheme for this tree with the red, white and gold. So yeah, I do plan on doing more hardanger. I did quite enjoy it. It's not complicated, but yeah, the cutting of the fabric is a bit of a moment. And it did take a while. I had to resort to drawing pencil lines to cover with the threads to get the skirt to end in the right places. So I mean, that was a lesson learned. I need to, at this point of my hardanger experience, I need to mark bits on the fabric. I've still got a little bit of a pencil mark on here where I didn't quite get the mark in the right place. That'll wash out though if I decide to wash it. I'm not sure I will because that will change the stiffness of the fabric, but it'll fade over time, so not too concerned. But yeah, quite pleased with that. Glad that I gave it a try, and yes, I will be doing more hardanger. As I say, I've still got 2 angels to do in that kit, and you can also do like tablecloths and placemats and that kind of thing in hardanger. I'm sure I've seen it as trims on outfits as well. So yeah, nice little skill to add to the repertoire for embellishments and for homewares. So I think some sort of hardanger table linen placemat kind of situation would be good. Not that we have a proper dining setup, but eventually when I do have an actual proper dining room, it would be nice to have some handmade stuff. Good job I'm not planning for it right now because I've got so many plans. That's a point for another video though, my plans for what to be making next. So yeah, so that's my finished object. Moving swiftly on to works in progress. Now, one thing you will not see in this section of works in progress is my Christmas cross stitch table linen that I started on last year before, probably the year before, almost definitely the year before. I haven't touched it this season. I may or may not get it out in the next couple of weeks. Whilst it's still winter, I can still work on wintry, Christmassy stuff. I should be working on it all year round to try and get it done for next Christmas. Probably won't feel like working on it in the summer. I mean, it's linen. It's not like it's going to be hot in the hand. It's a Christmassy image on it. But yeah, I haven't touched that. So yeah, you won't be seeing that. I have been doing some knitting. I haven't done anything with my Wellsbury sweater. If you remember, that was one that I was a bit concerned about the length of the body and where the sleeves were being picked up from. So I wanted to block the body and seam it to decide whether I needed to knit any more length in the ribbing or not. I've not done that yet, partly because of time, partly because of the space to actually leave the sweater out to dry. It would need to be in here at the moment because the craft room is in need of some attention. So yeah, I haven't got around to soaking that and blocking it as of yet, but that is on the list of things to do in the next month or so. I'm not in a rush to have the sweater. I mean, I do want the sweater, but if I don't have it to wear until next autumn, it's fine. It's not a problem. So yeah, so the Wellsbury is kind of sitting in a little bit of time out until I get around to blocking it and working out whether I need to add any length. So let's actually move on with the things that I have actually been working on in December. So in amongst all the Christmas prep and baking and that kind of thing, I have done a bit of knitting, quite a bit of knitting actually. It may not look like it, but it's quite a bit in terms of time. So let's look first at the Barragan shawl. So this was a make-along in the Knitter magazine 2023, or at least the first part was in 2023. It's a 4-part pattern. I am currently on part 2. So part 1 is this magenta-y section in the middle. Part 2 is this end and its mirror at the other end. So I have started that second end of part 2. I've still got a few more repeats of the lace to do to get it to the same length as this end. Ridiculously, I had to pick up and knit at least twice, if not 3 times, to get this end started because I completely misread the pattern. multiple times. I've done it before. I did it at this end. I mean, okay, I didn't have to pick up the stitches at this end, but still, I'm just mirroring at this end, and I still managed to get it wrong. That's what this time of year does to people. Messes with your head. So yeah, so this is going to be good when it's done. There is, at the end, a border that goes all the way around it. So I am trying to be very conscientious in this section to remember to slip my first stitch of every row, because I didn't in this section. I did to begin with, and then partway through for some reason I stopped and was only slipping it on the knit row, or if at all, as opposed to the wrong side return row. This side started off forgetting to slip stitches, and then remembered, and then forgot, and then remembered again. So picking up stitches to do the border is going to be interesting, to say the least. But yeah, it's there. She's going, she's on the way. Things are happening. She's working out fine. Yeah. So she's going to take a while. She's been on the needles for a while. I mean, like I say, 2023. I got the kit when I subscribed to the Knitter magazine, so that's over a year working on this. But that's partly because it's lace. Again, I've got no deadline for this project, so it doesn't matter if it takes me ages to get it done. I would like to get it finished by Easter, maybe. Trying to be realistic. I'm not going to be knitting on it every day. So yeah, so enjoying that. It's not one that I can do when I'm like reading. I can do it if I've got the TV on with something that I've seen before, or something sort of light to watch. I'm not going to be knitting on that and watching slow horses, for instance, because you want to pay attention to what's going on, and that's lace. You need to pay attention to what you're doing in lace. So yeah, so that's coming along nicely. My next work in progress is a Christmas yarn project. So this is a pair of socks, and it is being worked up in West Yorkshire Spinners Yuletide. I work 2 at a time with my socks. I normally work toe up. These socks are top down. It's the Tom Bombadil pattern. So it's got a cable down the front, which is sort of camouflaging in the self-striping, as is to be expected with this kind of yarn. But around the back of the leg, it's got this twisted stitch situation going on that gives these chevrons, which I think comes out really nicely in this yarn. I've done contrast cuff and heel, so I started doing that in the red, which is also West Yorkshire Spinners. I forget the name of it. It's the last bit of this red that I've had for a few years and used for heels, toes and cuffs on various socks. And you can see on the second sock I ran out at the heel turn. So yeah, so that red is now done. It's over, it's gone. So I swapped out to a green contrast yarn at the heel because I didn't have any more red. And that green is this green from the sweater. So it's Cascade Heritage Merino Nylon in this darker green. And it matches pretty perfectly the green in the Yuletide. I may or may not use that for the toes. My hesitation is not that the colour isn't good, it's a perfect colour match. And it's not that I don't like the yarn, I do. It's that the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply feels like a BFL, so Blue Face Leicester. I'm not 100% certain if it is a Blue Face Leicester. I believe it is. And Merino Nylon has a very different feel to Blue Face Leicester. So the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn feels very sturdy, and the Merino Nylon feels very soft. Not that it's not sturdy. I've knit socks in Merino Nylon before. So yeah, so when I get to the toes, I will then decide whether or not I'm doing contrast toes. But I am enjoying this pattern. It's nice to do a bit of more complex sock knitting than your vanilla patterns every once in a while. I just now have cables down the front. The chevrony bit is finished, so the thing should speed up now. I'm all the way through my gusset decreases, so I just need to knit the foot length and do the toe. Obviously not quite finished in time for Christmas, but I did get some knitting on it on Christmas Day. Went over to my dad and my stepmum's, and my stepmum and I were both knitting on our socks, which we'd also both been knitting on when we went over to Lincoln last week to get our nails done. So I have festive nails. And when we were in the nail salon, we discovered that we're both knitting socks out of the same yarn this year. So we've both got Yuletide on the needles. So that was a moment. So yes, we were both sat there introducing my father to Home Alone. How had he not seen Home Alone on Christmas Day? So yeah, so that was interesting. It's a good knit, and there's some nice sort of moments attached with those socks now, nice little memories, because they've been knit through the season. Because my stepmom and I were knitting with the same yarn, totally coincidentally, we hadn't discussed it. We didn't know each other had bought the yarn. Just so happened that we were both knitting socks with Yuletide. And it's not that surprising. We both like West Yorkshire yarn for socks, and we both like their Christmas colourways. So not a huge surprise, but still, nice little moment. And my final work in progress to show you is living in my Hand Knitters of Iceland, Hand Knitters Association of Iceland bag, which is, the size of a small child. And it's my Plutalope project. So that's the yarn that I bought on honeymoon whilst I was in Iceland. So I am working out the numbers myself for a Lopi style sweater, knitting it as closely as possible to the traditional methods. But it's not technically a Lopi sweater because I don't live in Iceland. So I'm not knitting it in Iceland, I'm knitting it in the UK. So we have first sleeve completely finished, and we have second sleeve completely finished. So first sleeve is on a cable and second sleeve is on its DPN still. So they are both done and dusted, and reminding me a little bit of Charlie Brown. So yeah, sleeves are done. So they're going to sit and wait for me to get the body up to the armpits so I can connect them in one for the yoke. And speaking of the body, I have now worked 2 inches. I'm tangled up in the yarn here. Let's untangle that before I break it. Not that breaking Plutalope is a problem, it split splices nicely. So I worked 2 inches of 2x2 ribbing. So I'm now ready to change to my larger needle tips and stocking stitch the body all the way up to the armpits. I have put in a 5-stitch pearl panel here, which is my steek stitches, so that I can turn it into a cardigan when it's done and insert a zip once I work out how to do that. In terms of yarn usage, I am now onto my second plate. I only just started using this plate maybe 4 rounds ago. So that's not bad going. 1 plate for both sleeves and the bulk of the hem ribbing. So yeah, next step, change the needles, start working the body. I'm going to do the same colour work around the hem of the body as I did on the cuffs of the sleeve, so they'll be tied in together. But this, once I'm past the colour work on the hem, will be my sitting and knitting while reading or while watching TV project, because it's stocking stitch all the way up. Until obviously I get Wellsbury blocked, because the sleeves on that will be stocking stitch as well, so that will also be a suitable for watching TV or reading kind of project, whereas the others aren't so much. I mean, the socks sort of are, but cables, so I do have to pay attention to what round I'm on to get the cable in the right place. And I'm ignoring mistakes. The socks, I did 1 cable in the first repeat in the wrong direction, but I made that same mistake on both socks, so that's fine. And it's cables in variegated yarn, so it sort of disappears anyway. And I did the first repeat on the wrong size needles. I wondered why it was being a bit tricky to get the cables in. It turns out the needles are too small. But it's fine. These things happen. So yes, that's all of my projects I've been working on in December. I haven't done any sewing in the craft room because I haven't tidied up the craft room and sorted it out since making bridesmaids outfits, which I really ought to do because I've been married 5 months now. So yeah, I should probably sort that out. It's not that I don't have sewing projects to do, or ideas for sewing projects or fabric to work with or anything like that. I just keep putting off sorting out the room. So yeah, so that chaos needs taming. But I'm not going to go too much into what I'm planning on doing over the next few weeks and months. I'm still tweaking some of my ideas for into 2025, but I will go into what I have in mind so far in my next video. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. Till then, there's this video here that may be of interest to you, and I will see you soon. Until then, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.